So the governor of Texas signing 8 executive orders, hoping to help prevent mass shootings in the future. We all knew there were just 2 in the state last month. Well, the attacks in El Paso and Odessa, killing 29 people, injuring dozens more, obviously prompting this legislation. Let's bring in Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Thank you very much for talking to us. You say that you're going to continue to work expeditiously with the legislature on laws to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous criminals while also safeguarding the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding Texans. How exactly do you plan on doing that?
Well, multi-level approach, Julie. First of all, the governor had his executive orders. We want to be sure we do everything we can to identify potentially dangerous shooters before they commit their evil act. We have listed a series of charges that we're going to begin hearing starting later this month in the Texas Senate and in the Texas House to look at a variety of issues that will focus on keeping the guns out of hands of people that are felons, people that have serious mental issues, while protecting our Second Amendment rights. One of the ways we can do that, Julie, that I believe, and I'm a strong NRA supporter and they're a strong supporter of mine, but I believe they are wrong in not expanding background checks to stopping strangers from selling guns to strangers. We don't have all the details yet, Julie, but it appears that the Midland shooter may have purchased his gun from a total stranger. We want to protect families selling to family and friends without background checks, but about 10% to 15% of all guns bought in this country are bought stranger to stranger. They don't know who they're selling to. It could be a felon, could be someone getting ready to rob a bank, or someone ready to commit a mass act of violence. And we have to stop the stranger to stranger sales.
Here's another disturbing factor that came out of Abbott's office, basically that the El Paso suspect's mother had actually alerted authorities weeks before his shooting rampage, and the Midland Odessa gunman had called both local and federal authorities prior to that shooting. And that is hard to swallow. You know, it's an information gap, basically, for these repeated shootings. How will these new orders prevent mass shooters who should have been stopped in the first place?
Well, one of the things, Julie, that the governor wants to do and we want to do in the Texas Senate, and that is be sure that we have the best fusion center in the country so that we have information that comes up from a call-in, like the mother who called about the El Paso shooter. She called into the Allen Police Department, but nothing was done with that lead when she called in. The governor's executive orders and laws we will pass will try to be sure we implement quickly with the executive orders and then into law that police must have a system of all of our police departments that when they get a call like that, they turn it into the suspicious activity center so that we can immediately follow up on that. So that's number one we have to do. That call did not go through. In terms of the Midland shooter, well, he was someone who had called police a number of times. In fact, when he was fired from his job last Saturday, not only did the person who fired him call 911, but so did the shooter. Call 911. And he had a lot of issues that will, I think, come out in the future of his past difficulties. But we have to identify these people, and that's getting accurate information up to the right channel as quickly as we can, and that's what the governor and I want to do, and that's what we're going to do. But we have to, once we identify those people, we have to be sure they can't get a gun. Julie, over 3 million people have been stopped from getting firearms through a background check since 1994, and almost 1 million of those are convicted felons who tried to get a gun. So they go to the private sector, stranger to stranger.
Loopholes.
I'll never sell my gun to a total stranger, and neither should any law-abiding gun owner.
The president himself has acknowledged this. The next question, though, is does Washington get involved on gun legislation? Mitch McConnell says it all will depend on the president himself. I want you to listen to this.
If the president is in favor of a number of things that he has discussed openly and publicly, and I know that if we pass it, it'll become law, I'll put it on the floor.
All right. So will the president be one to back this?
The president has asked for background checks going back to early August after the El Paso shooting. The White House has continued to say they support that.